You know, it's worth talking about what not to do when it comes to soloing. I know as a worship leader, you know, I so appreciate Ben's heart in serving the situation, serving the song, serving the moment, you know, and not just kind of stepping out and making it his moment. But he's always conscious of, it seems to me that he's conscious of the mood that's going on and making sure that he's supporting the mood of the song or the mood of the moment. And, you know, one of the things that kind of bothers me is when, you know, we're actually singing the song and we're in the verse or the chorus and we're singing out and the guy's actually playing a solo over that part instead of just finding a nice rhythm part. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But I don't know, can you think of a few sort of, you know, things that you don't do when you're playing electric guitar or soloing in a worship situation?
Yeah, I think, you know, the first thing I'm always listening to where the vocal's at, because especially as we're worshiping, the vocal is what the people are singing with, you know, singing along to. So it's important to not step on the vocal. If the vocal is singing out strong, I'm at most just going to try to find spaces in between and not play all over. It's easy, I think, for electric guitarists, perhaps other solo instruments to get, you know, we really readily we're fidgety. We like to noodle all over the place. And so to refrain, to hold back from some of that and just try to, play a supporting role, again, play a part that will fit into the song. And then when it's, you know, when it's time to play a solo, playing out and playing it aggressively, but always being sensitive to what's going on around me, trying to be as much as possible.
I know that just from years of playing with Ben, I know a lot of times instead of just playing a blues scale or something, he'll take maybe the primary hook of the song, maybe the primary melody of the chorus, and he'll kind of play off that a little bit. So that, again, that's another way of kind of supporting the song, thinking more parts like. I notice that you tend to do that. Even if it's not the melody of the song, it always feels a little bit more like a part, you know, instead of just sort of totally getting lost.
Yeah, it is so easy to zone out, I think, in natural state, just to licks that I've worked on or stuff, and just kind of be in my own world, but try to be as engaged as I can be in what's the moment, what's the mood or the feeling of the song where we're at, and trying to fit that mood as best I can to support, you know, ultimately the worship that's going on, to try to be sensitive to that. And
you do it well. Why don't we look at, you know, maybe look at a solo, like the solo you did in Hosanna on the last record. We'll just check that out.
So let me talk about the effects that I'll have on for this solo, and it's what I used on the recording. Looking back at the pedal board here, I'll go to my distorted pedal for a thicker, higher gain, higher sustain sound. And I'll also go to my delay pedal. This song in particular, it kind of uses a unique delay tempo slapback. So I've set my delay at a dotted eighth note slapback. And then, again, I'm always tapping in tempo with where the drummer's at, or in our case, the acoustic guitar.
We'll try to redo that. So,
1, 2, 3, 4.
What I love about that is just the melodic repetition, you know, instead of just playing all over the place. It's like a good song, there's that repetition of that chorus or the repetition of that primary hook. And so even in Ben's solo, there's that da 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 da, and it just kind of draws you in. It just becomes another hook, if you will, to draw the listener in and make them experience the song better. What would that be like? Let's slow it down just a little bit without all the delay, just so people can get a good look at what you're doing there. And what are you thinking scale-wise, or are you playing off of your triads? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm kind of going to this. We talked about the D form bar chord, so I'm kind of thinking of that shape generally speaking, and then I'm just going to this position,
So that's basically like a G chord. That's a G triad right there, huh?
Yep, right there. There's that D shape.
Okay, okay.
And I'm just using the G and the B string, and just going.
So 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to that, okay? Then a repetition. I love that. Chordal thing.
Yeah.
So you ended up that chordal thing, which is
kind of in that high G bar chord shape. And again, using the electric guitar and the effects to your advantage, you listen to that by itself, and it's just very clean, not a lot of sustain, but you add a little bit of distortion and the delay into the mix, and it really helps to color and fill out the sound.
Mm-hmm. Now I noticed that many times Ben and guitarists like him, guitarists, they use not just scales when they're playing solos, but they're playing off of the triads a lot. And I know you talked about triads.
Yeah.
You know, you want to talk about that? Do you tend to use triads as almost like an anchor point for your solo?
Yeah, a lot of times I do. A lot of times I'll think of it, you know, sometimes in an arpeggiated manner.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm creating parts for a chorus or parts for a song, a lot of times I'll go to a higher triad just because it gets me into the mindset of thinking up higher on the neck usually, out of the way of other stuff that's going on. And yeah, a lot of times just flow a solo, you know, out of those shapes can come really easily.
Right, right. I remember, again, back in my electric guitar days, it's funny, that's what I did for years, was play electric guitar for different people, and then once I started leading worship, it just seemed to be less and less of an occurrence. You know, sometimes I wish, man, I just wish I could be in the band and just play, because I think the electric guitarist just gets the color, you know, and just adds so much dynamic and color.
Yeah.
But that was one of the exercises I remember was really helpful, was just that triad where you see like a G and then a G and a G, you know, and so you can kind of visualize quickly, there's your G, so, and then there's another G. But it's like you're
Right.
picturing those triads. And,
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, you know, same thing, C, C, C. So that's just a good exercise, you know, get a metronome going at a real slow speed and just kind of go through that, you know, G, you know, 4 beats per 2, 3, 4, G, 2, 3, back to the G, 2, or you could go up higher to the G, to the G. You know, just so helpful to kind of get those triads in your
Absolutely.
brain, eh?
Yep.
It might be worth looking at how not to do it. Okay, let's take a look at a song that I thought Ben, you know, contributed a really nice, tasteful solo section. And but I think some guys might have just kind of taken over the world, you know, if they had the opportunity right there. So there's a song called Your Name on the last project, and so we're coming out of the chorus. We're going, let the nation sing it louder, 'cause nothing has the power to say. I want you to play what you played, but your name. Oh, your name. Jesus, your name. Oh, your name. Okay, that's what you played, and I just think that it fit the mood, you know, it's real tender, it's melodic, he repeats this kind of hook or this motif, but let's take it sort of a bad way, maybe if you were just, you know, kind of really into yourself and into kind of showing, you know, everybody on Sunday morning how cool you are. All right, so we go, nothing has the power to save but your name.
a little bit overboard.
A little overboard. You know, what's funny is there's going to be some of you go, dude, that is awesome. You know, that's cool. Because obviously there's parts of that. Maybe if you're playing for this radical, you know, extreme youth conference, and, you know, you're really trying to reach them, you know, maybe that's the thing. So it's funny. As soon as you say, well, that's probably not the way, you know, I could think of an example where maybe that would be cool. But we're talking 95% of the time on a Sunday morning, on a Wednesday night, on a multi-generational worship experience. Again, that's the context we're looking at. So something like that probably would be a little over the top. But if you were just doing some radical youth night and it was more of a concert, let me say, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Say it's hard for you to be bad, man. What can you say?
Jeez. I feel like, just thinking about the mood of the song, like thinking about the lyric, which I think sometimes we have to slow down as players sometimes and think about, okay, what's even the lyric of this song?
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's your name, strong and mighty tower. It's just so focused on, you know, God that it's like, almost seems, it seems weird to detract from that in playing something really flashy myself. So just trying to, not do that. Not detract from the moment of what's going on and where the focus is.
Right. And I'll just say, you know, there are times where, man, it fits the song to step out and wail, you know, and really rock and not be reserved at all. So I don't want some of you guys to feel like, oh, man, you can never turn up past 2 or you can never step on that distortion in church or somebody's going to be upset. You know, I don't think that's the case either, right?
No, I totally want to encourage you guys, too. When it comes time to take a solo, man, play it with confidence. You know, step out, know that you've worked on stuff in the practice room and play it confidently. And crank that thing up. You know, hopefully your team trusts you enough to crank it up. But play it like you mean it, like you want to sing through it instead of just cranking up just for the sake of cranking it. But play it confidently, absolutely.
Yeah, I think the cardinal rule, if there's a cardinal rule, is to make sure that all the elements of the song support the feeling of the message. You know, whether you're writing a song or you're arranging a song or you're performing a song, your goal is to make sure that all the elements support the feeling of the message that you're trying to convey. So if you're trying to convey this, you know, really celebratory, like I'm thinking maybe Because of Your Love, like you did a really fun, stepped out, unapologetic kind of solo.
Yeah.
So let's do that. Let's take it from the halfway through the chorus. Because of Your Love, we lift you up. So 1, 2, we lift you up. Songs of freedom, forever we're changed because of your love. Oh, thank you, Jesus. Because of your love. Yeah, it's killer. Another song that kind of has that you know, sort of over the top kind of solo, but it fits the feeling of the message is I Will Boast. I mean, you know, he definitely just stepped out unapologetically and said, man, I will boast with my guitar. So maybe let's kind of show that. Let's see, halfway through is I will boast in the Lord my God. I will boast in the one who's worthy. He's worthy. Yeah, man, that just rocks. And just that, again, another thing, what I love about that is that it's sort of like a theme with a variation, you know. So he's not just playing scales, he's thinking parts. And a lot of times I think you come up with that because you're almost kind of singing a part, aren't you?
Absolutely.
Kind of in your head.
Yeah, I think the most memorable solos are ones that have some sort of a hook, you know, that you can be drawn back to. The repetition of the melody kind of works like a hook to a song.
Yeah.
Real similar.
And then he kind of breaks out and you do that thing and he ends on that funny note, which is, at first he was almost like, oh man, I don't like that note, but it just sounds so kind of garage band or punk rock or something, you know, just kind of hanging out
a little
there.
wiggle, a little wiggle.
Yeah, so let's do that very last line. So 3, 5. I just think it's just kind of, it's wild. It feels out of control, you know, and
Yeah.
the song is like, I will make my boast. It's kind of an out of control kind of moment.
So we've just talked about being very in control, very controlled. Now we're out of control.
Again, that's why I'm glad, you know, sort of the cardinal rule, we declare it today, is make sure all the elements, especially the guitar elements, support the feeling of the message that you're trying to get across.